Chattanooga isn't the only city with its own grim history to share. From the Bell Witch to the Not Deers, Tennessee plays host to a varied cast of folklore characters. For today's episode, we'll be venturing into Bradley County to learn more about a recent addition to this cast of characters. You might even say a tall addition to this cast. Gather close, dearest patrons. I have some grim history to share with you. Folklore has an air of timelessness to it. Folklore is a story that has been told so frequently and for so long, it becomes more than a story. It becomes a part of a culture's identity. Take, for example, the story of the Bell Witch from Adams, Tennessee. Her story has roots in the early 1800s. As can be seen in the clipping files, there's evidence of her story being recounted as early as the 1930s, helping her become the folklore legend she is known as today. However, when you study local history, it's interesting to find folklore that's been created and popularized so recently in our history. Take, for example, Tall Betsy of Cleveland. She has her roots in the 1800s, just like the Bell Witch. But she was created and popularized in the 1980s by a Cleveland resident by the name of Allan Jones. We recently had the opportunity to sit down with Allan Jones and learn more about Tall Betsy and her story. Let's dig into the research.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Greetings, dearest patrons. So we are very lucky today to have Allan Jones here with us. He graciously allowed us to haunt his residence for a second so we could ask him some questions. So, first things first, thank you so much for inviting us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Could you tell us a little bit more about how you got started doing Tall Betsy, like what inspired you?
Well, Megan, first of all, I think we have to understand, the viewers have to understand, as a kid, today I'm 71 years old.
Yeah.
And I still get excited about things. I get excited about Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, I took it so serious. My grandmother had told me a story about Tall Betsy, and then my mother would embellish upon those stories, but Tall Betsy was a real person that walked the streets of Cleveland. Years ago, around the 1918 or 1920, somewhere around there, before my mother was born. And it was a tall person and was dressed just like this. This is from the description my mother gave me. And she'd walk the streets late at night. And the community of Cleveland thought she was either a police officer dressed up to scare people off the street at night, but in reality, we think she was just really a very tall, odd-looking woman who people would make fun of, and so she walked the streets late at night. And so then on Halloween, if you take her walking late at night, my mother would tell me I had to be in by 10. Now, 10 o'clock back when I was growing up, we did not have daylight savings time, would be 9 o'clock today. So she would always say, you got to be in by 10. And I would say, I'll be in when they don't answer the door anymore. I'm not quitting. And so that's the way I ran it. So then when I came up with the story of Tall Betsy, be in by 10 or you're a has-been. And that's where that came from.
Okay.
So then I guess what happened next is when I was in high school, after I got too old to trick or treat, which was a disappointment to me.
I fully agree. That was the same way when I was a teenager as well.
See, I didn't even want to put on an outfit because it slowed me down. And I remember the very last time I went trick or treating, everybody showed up dressed up except me. It worked out for me, And I didn't have a bag. I had a pillowcase because it could hold more and it wasn't going to split. I've had them split. So anyway, I decided to create this Tall Betsy character that I'd heard these stories about. And I got some stilts. I cut down 2 saplings in my backyard and I laid them out in the backyard to let them dry. And they got very dry. And then I got a a horse bucket. We had horses. I got a horse bucket. I went down to Stewart Park store and I bought some black rye dye. And I built a fire and I boiled the water and I got it hot and I put several of my mother's sheets in without asking her and I dyed them black.
Yeah.
And so basically I just wrapped it around me. And then I get on the stilts. I build the stilts, put foot things on the stilts. But what had happened is the stilts had actually, because they were laying out in the sun, they had bowed. So I looked like a big old bow-legged cowboy, and I just couldn't appear like that. So I didn't do it.
Yeah.
If you fast forward in 1980, they're having a downtown promotion. I was active in the Central Cities Action Association. So I turned around and they were trying to create an official spook of Bradley County. Well, I started arguing for Tall Betsy.
Yeah.
And, they didn't really know the story. And I finally said, if you'll do it, by this time I was financially doing well. I was, in 1980, I was pretty successful. I said, I'll tell you what, if you do it, I'll pay for the uniform to be made. I'll build the stilts and I'll play the character.
Yeah.
And that's how I got Tall Betsy to be the spook of Bradley County. And so I appeared downtown at a downtown promotion at 3:00 in the afternoon, and I got finished around 5:00. And Lou Patton, who went on to be a state senator, he was in his pickup truck, and I was a single dad, and I had a daughter that was in first grade at home, and my mother was hosting a little Halloween party on Centenary Avenue. So I got Lou to, I wanted to lay down in the back of his truck. I didn't want to take my outfit off. And I laid in the back of his truck. He drove me from downtown Cleveland to Centenary, which is just a few blocks. Let me out, and I walked in. I made my first appearance to my daughter and her first grade group in the backyard. They go out and trick-or-treating, so I walked out on the street, and that's where it started.
So you kind of touched a little bit about how Tall Betsy ended up becoming the official spook of Bradley County. I noticed on Tall Betsy's website, there's a section that's devoted to the state legislature that actually came out, where the Tennessee government actually listed her as the official Halloween Goblin of Bradley County. Could you talk a little bit more about how that actually came about?
Well, that was Steve Bivens, Representative Steve Bivens, and Lou Patton, who originally carried me downtown, became a state senator, and they introduced that. They're trying to do it for the whole state of Tennessee, but I had some competition from the Bell Witch over in Middle Tennessee.
Wait, you were in competition with the Bell Witch?
We were in competition with the Bell Witch, and we conceded to have a tie where neither one of us would be the official spook of the town. But I'll be the official spook of Bradley County, and Bell Witch can be the official spook of Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
So we battled to a tie. And so when they surprised me, and I was entertaining over at my house on Centenary, and they were going to do the presentation downtown, and they sent a police escort to get me. Again, I laid down in the back of a pickup truck, came downtown, thousands of people around the courthouse square, and Tall Betsy became the official spook of Bradley County.
Can you tell me about how the Arnold School kind of became involved with the story?
Yeah, Arnold School was built in 1925, and that was actually my great-great-great-grandfather, Joseph R. Taylor's property. He sold it to the school. And so I mentioned to you I was a single dad, and I was also president of the Arnold School PTA in 1983. So one of the things I did, in our philanthropy, we always donate trees. So I donated a bunch of trees to Arnold School. And in the front yard there, so when we're digging the trees, I find his old well that's been covered up. It was in the back part of the house. It was the backyard, which is the front yard of Arnold School. So that's when when we discovered the well, there's a story about it. And that's when I came up with the idea, she dumps your bones at that old well at Arnold School, nobody will tell, because I was also president of Arnold School PTA. And Tall Betsy started appearing at the Arnold School Fall Festival. And one of the things people don't know about me is I headed up the Spook House for 22 years at Arnold School. At Arnold, and then at Mayfield School. But in 2013, I did it till 1998, and from 98 to 2013, Tall Betsy made no appearance. But after that, in 13, my son Bailey was a junior at UTC. He was ready to take over. And so what I'd like to do is introduce you to my son Bailey right now. Bailey, if you'll come in. Bailey, why don't you sit down here and take over for the next, you've been doing it for 11 years, and you can kind of tell the story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My dad talked about wanting to bring back Tall Betsy.
Yeah.
Or I've talked about it. I don't know. We've always wondered, when's Tall Betsy going to come back? We don't have the house anymore. We don't have the original things that are going on. So in 2013, we decided that we're going to bring back the original Tall Betsy with the dress and everything that's behind me today. And we get out there, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I thought I looked a little funny. And so I had this just mask from Walmart that didn't look very scary. And I was walking out there and walking through seas of people. No one's seen Tall Betsy since '98. And it's honestly my first time on stilts. I kind of always didn't really practice. So I was out there. I was like, oh, fell off a curb, but I caught myself on my stilts. And it was really good to see Tall Betsy and all the people that came and saw her. But one thing I noticed is the kids were they knew it was fake.
Yeah.
So I remember growing up, it didn't feel fake.
Yeah.
Tall Betsy always felt like a real person.
Yeah.
And with this day, you see movies, it looks a lot realer. And so after that, I sent him these masks. I said, hey, Tall Betsy needs one of these masks. So we call them up, and they have this mask of this old woman that they made for a movie. And the movie didn't want it. The movie got cut. So they had this old lady and with these hands and everything. It was a perfect Tall Betsy. So now Tall Betsy has a makeover in 2014. And I put it on. You can see my eyes blank. It moves in my mouth. And it looks like a real person. So now when I talk to the kids, at first they think you're fake, and then I really get close to them, and they're like, "That's a real person." So it goes down to even the musk of Tall Betsy that helps bring it all together. And so this year we're hopefully going to come out on 150 Centenary Avenue and see all the kids and all the parents that grew up with Tall Betsy, and entertain them again. And we got fog machines and music, and get the poem playing, and she comes out on sunset. So that's they get everything together, and I walk out. Sunset's always around 6:46.
Yeah.
Every year. So come out, walked all the way up and down Centenary, and getting pretty good on the stilts, and it's each year it's just becomes more fun. So hopefully, I don't know how long I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it until I can.
She comes out only on Halloween. On Centenary Avenue, she can't be seen. Tall Betsy is the lady in black. For scaring night owls, she has a knack. Now, if you're good and go home early, you won't get hit by this gruesome girlie. But if you linger till after 10, I want you to know you're a has-been. Because Betsy will tuck you under her arm, and you can bet that's cause for alarm. To Fort Hill Cemetery she'll go, to her mausoleum with you in tow. And if you fail to escape before sunrise, I warn you now, you'll be a prize. You'll be on the menu, I do not jest. You'll be on the menu, but not as her guest. Your bones she'll dump in that old well in Arnold School, and no one will tell. Your parents, they'll worry and fret. They'll search all over for you, I bet. So go home early on Halloween night, and November 1st will be all right. Trick-or-treating's so much fun, but if you see Tall Betsy, you better run.
Now then, dearest patrons, trick-or-treating could be so much fun. But if you see Tall Betsy, you better run. Are you going to try staying out after 10 on Halloween night? I'll let you decide.